Our first guest empowers people to be their best when it comes to accomplishing their dreams. Travis Cody is a best-selling author, and he says he can take you from a blank page to a fully published book in 8 weeks or less.
Wow, that's incredible. Travis Cody joining us now. How are you, buddy?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Writing a book ain't easy.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not.
So how are you able to help people branch out and actually put their pen to paper or their fingers to keyboard and actually bang one out?
Well, it comes from the realization that what we were taught about writing, specifically books in general, is completely wrong. Oh. So, well, most of our experience with writing is, you know, high school term papers, sentences. It's painful. And so, you know, up until we're like 20, our entire experience with writing is just pain. So now when you think, oh, hey, now you have to write 300 pages, nobody wants to do that. So like my first book, it took me 2 years to write. It was pain and drudgery. I thought about it for 10 years before I even started it. That's how painful it was. Yeah. And the book that I just released actually took me about 6 weeks to go from blank page to fully published.
No kidding.
You took me back just then to that moment in high school or in college.
Did I give a trigger word?
It was so bad. I used to sit there and I couldn't type a thing.
You had to use Times New Roman. It had to be 1.5 spaced. You had to have the margins. You had
to have dented
well,
in.
And honestly, the hardest part was just accessing my own thoughts. I don't know why it was so hard. Tell us about the book.
Well, the book is the process that I used to take literally anyone from a blank page to fully published. Now, I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs and specifically people who wanted to write memoirs. Yeah. So I'll be very clear, like, if you want to write the next great fiction book, this process probably won't work. Yeah. So yeah, but it just goes through the steps to do it. And what we do is we remove the pain from writing. We get that completely out of the way. And my promise is that actually, as you go through the process, you'll do very little writing, what you consider to be writing at all. I say you don't write a book, you create a book.
Wow.
Oh, neat.
Interesting.
That's a different way to look at it.
You say that the best way to write a book is to use this, the movie star method.
Yeah, and this came about, so I was a screenwriter in Hollywood for a number of years, and I have several friends that are in the entertainment industry. One of them's an Academy Award-winning, Academy-nominated actress. Right. And I had 2 books to the point where she wrote her memoirs, and I watched the process that she went through that, and it was like this little, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've been doing everything wrong when it comes to writing books. And so I took what I learned from watching her do her memoir, and I applied it to one of my clients, and she got our first book done in about 6 weeks. Wow. We released it, went to #1 on Amazon. So basically, the movie star method is you're more speaking your book. So what are movie stars really good at? They're really good at interviews. Yeah. That's what they do. That's why we're
the schmooze. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we feel like we're friends with them because they can go on a talk show and they can just have a conversation with someone. And when you're creating a book, it's really the same way. So, Sean, like if I came to you and said, "Hey, I want you to write your journey of where you came from and how you got to this point right now, and I want you to write that out," like you would go home and you would struggle with that, and 3 weeks later you'd be like, "I don't know where to go." But if you and I were sitting down over coffee and I said, "Hey, Sean, so what's your story? Like, just tell me a little bit about," you could just talk about that like nothing. Yeah. So if we recorded that conversation, now all you have to do is edit that, and it's going to actually be a lot better than what you would have done if you had written it, because it's going to be more in your voice.
There we go. That's brilliant. And that's the tough thing, is writing in your own voice.
And that's it.
And
they always say, write how you talk. That's what they always say. And well, how do I do that? Well, just talk. Just record it, and then you can transcribe that, and then you can edit that.
Isn't that true? Why is it that we have a tendency to get more formal when we write, or like make things more heady and complicated?
I still do it. So,
yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's just the training, you know. It's from the time 5 years old until now. That's every time you turn around. It's like there's a seriousness to it when you're in front of the. So my quote with Ernest Hemingway, you know, writing is easy. You just got to sit in front of the keyboard and bleed. And I think that's the way it is for most of us. So when you sit down, your brain does this little switch of like, oh, I got to bleed now. Where if we just go out and have coffee and have a conversation, it just removes all of that.
The closest I've come to being published is at your local Kinko's. How do you become published then?
You know, we are in such an amazing time for publishing. Jeff Bezos, love him or hate him, has done so much to help independent authors be able to have their voice, and there are so many tools now. I talk about that in the book. I actually have a whole chapter that shows you what are the ins and outs. So I have 4 books. One of them was with a traditional publisher. All the rest have been self-published, and I can tell you, after working with a publisher, I will never go that route again. From here on out, it'll be all self-publishing.
Interesting.
It's easier than you think it is, and I actually lay out the entire steps in the book from where to click and what to do and what websites to use, and yeah.
Yeah, information has become much more open these days. Interesting. You're giving away some copies of the book?
Yeah, I am actually giving away a free copy. Anybody who wants it, they can go to my website. It startswithabook.com.
Cool.
That's where it starts
That's
with all
beautiful.
of us.
Yeah.
I just asked people to cover the postage it cost me to get it to them, but otherwise
Wow.
they can have a free copy.
That's awesome.
Very
cool. And congratulations on the books.
Thank you.
And it's great talking to you.
You too.
Thank
Thanks.
you so much.
Take the leap and let the chapters flow. To get a free copy of his book, visit itstartswithabook.com. Authority Alchemy is a proud sponsor of the Morning Blend.